Okay, I'm going to call the public hearing, notice hybrid meeting for the Planning Commission. Julie? Oh, yeah.
Okay, so our flood regs were over 10 years old, and we've had 2 floods since they went into effect. So we took a look at them last year with the village and came up, Jason from Regional suggested we start with this standalone flood hazard and river corridor from the state of Vermont, because it was only from 2023. And so we took a look at that. We actually spent months on it, comparing it to the flood regs that we have currently within town zoning, Article 6 in town zoning. And some changes we made. Rose felt strongly that propane tanks, according to these flood regs, they would have to be up, well, they were supposed to be up 2 feet with the old regs, but this would have put them at 4 feet, and propane companies were refusing to deliver at 2 feet. So we changed that part of them and said that they just had to be anchored and installed by a professional, either anchored by metal or anchored by cement. One other change we made this was our BFE, which is your base flood elevation in this document, was at 1 foot, but we put it at 2 feet because the last flood, there was 22 inches of water in Reba's Trailer Park. So we changed that to 2 feet. And so that puts our DFE, the design flood elevation, at 4 feet because it's doubles. We took out the pond grading excavation because it was already covered under excavation. We deleted the local flood hazard area, which called for a 15-foot setback from Jewel Brook River corridor. And we replaced it with the regs in this reg, which called for a 50-foot from the top of the stream bank or slope.
Excuse me, was that 50 foot or 15 foot?
50 foot from the top of the stream bank or the slope. We hemmed and hawed about whether we would keep the river corridor part of this document, and we decided to for a couple reasons. We had advice from Nick Swainberg and Asa Braden, and they're both flood specialists with FEMA's. And they suggested we keep the river corridor regulations because the state is going to take over river corridor regulations and they're going to charge towns to do that. And so we're keeping them, so we're in charge of that. It also helps our reimbursement. Currently we get reimbursed at 12.5%, but we haven't determined yet, but we'll get reimbursed at a higher rate if we adopt the river corridor parts of this. And I did, in the email I mentioned to you guys that I did, this was vetted by Ned Swainberg and Asa Brayton. They said the changes that we made did not change the liability situation, and we'd still, keep our flood insurance, and we'd still be in line with the state. So that's why we made the changes that we made. The river corridors in Ludlow include Commonwealth, and the mountain has tributaries that fall under river corridor. They're mapped along larger bodies of water. Small streams just have a watershed of 0.5 or half a square mile, but river corridors, they're mapped along, they have a much bigger, I'm out of the word here, watershed than a small stream, obviously. I think that's about all the changes we made. Like I said, the trustees adopted this in September of 2024. I kind of lost track of doing it with the town, and then Jared reminded me we needed to do that because of the dam the sewage plant relocation. These new regs should be in place when that all happens. So he spurred us on to take a look at it and get it going.
Anybody got any questions? Eric?
Eric Olin, Trailside Road. We're gonna get a little bit in the weeds here because I saw something that seems to be fairly important. And I missed it with the village regs, unfortunately. Under section, let's see, 660, you scroll down, the current regs, and this is what I want to focus on, is section B, number 3, the bank stabilization, channel management.
You're in the old regs.
I'm in the old regs. Yeah, 60, page 69, it looks like. You may not have to go, and I can just read it to you. Letter A says, in the old/current regs of the town, that will not result in flood levels 0.00 feet during the occurrence of the base flood, and not increase the risk to surrounding properties, facilities, or structures from erosion. So that's in the old/current for the town. The new reg eliminates, and it may seem very small, but when you sort of look at it in the big picture, it's not. In the current proposed regs, that 0.00 feet language has been removed. And why that's important to leave that in there is it allows for a little bit of wiggle room when it comes to, an engineered study. So, for example, with the mill recently, we had our H&H study, and we came in at 0.04, which, they round up or down, brought us down to the 0. With the new language, there's no room for that in there. So if someone does an H&H study and it comes 0.02, 0.01, there's no wiggle room in the language. There's wiggle room if you leave that 0.00 mark in there. So eliminating that and adding the no increase in velocity eliminates a tiny bit of wiggle room that the current regs permit. The 0.00 feet requirement technically allows for an increase of 0.004 feet, which, is minimal. This equates to about 0.05 inches. This would affect all the buildings along Main Street that sit in the river or on the river, the mill, the post, Homestyle Hostel, whose foundation actually sits in the river. A lot of times something looks great and folks see this language and they say, why did they put that in there? And they don't really drill down on it. But when you do drill down on it, you understand why they put that in there. And it's to allow for just that little bit of wiggle room, but still stay in compliance. So I'd ask that you keep that language at 0.00 feet in there. It's actually a pretty important piece of this. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Great.
I know it's a little confusing, but thanks.
Terry?
It just would be a change that I don't think we should make without consulting Asa and Ned and Jason at Regional, because maybe that will make us out of compliance with, and maybe that's why they took it out. So I'm just saying, before we make that change, I think they should be consulted.
Okay.
That's fair.
Any other questions from anybody?
Eric, will you send that change? I can send it again.
Sure.
Okay, being no other questions, close the hearing for the floodplain change. Motion.
Motion to close the hearing? Yep,
Yeah.
motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order. First order of business, Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Consider of any changes, additions, or removals to the agenda? Nothing? Okay, approved minutes of previous meeting, December 22nd. You had some changes, Penny?
I had a couple changes.
You got them, you know.
Second page, number 3, just clarifying a little bit of the verbiage in there, because there was a lot in that one statement.
Okay.
And it basically should read, so in that second sentence of number 3, it should read, if the board votes to use the local options tax for infrastructure and capital purchases, we could use $417,000 toward fiscal year 27 expenses. And so by making that change, it strikes a couple of the different phrases in there where it has the town clerk and a couple of other fragments, so that it kind of reads a little bit cleaner, if that makes sense.
Yep. Okay. Everybody got those changes?
Did you have any other changes?
Let's see, page 3, under number 18, second sentence, they are part of the Vermont Dispatch Association, comma, which Ludlow is not. And then line 20, same page, couple of just different tweaks here in terms of, Penny Wu said the state has not mandated it yet, but that, so add but that, 2 dispatchers must be on at the same time. We only have 1 dispatcher on. Period. That's it.
Okay, what's the preference of the board with those changes?
Okay, I make a motion to approve as amended.
I'll second.
Second, any other discussion? Being no other discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes opposed, ayes have it. Comments from citizens? Dave?
Dave Van Gelder, 41 O'Connor Hill. Question, what happened to the town service officer position? Was that, you guys remember that position that we used to have?
Town service?
Yeah, it was, so when we have people that come into town, like just today alone, we had 2 instances where I wish Noah was here because Noah knows about the one, where people need some sort of help. And the old town service position was that the town had a budget in this town service position, town service officer, I should say, where if somebody came into town, a homeless individual or somebody that needed assistance for, let's get into it today. We had an individual that was homeless, was here in town, was sleeping behind Shaw's in a sleeping bag. Here it is, 3 below zero this morning. Where back in the day, we could call this town service officer, and they had a fund set aside that we could get a room. Back in the day, Glenn Highsmith, when he owned the Timber Inn, he usually was the one that would take and get in a room for the day. just today, we've had 2 incidents. In the past, we've actually had numerous incidents where it'd be nice to have somebody where we could find a room for somebody for the night. Now you gotta call Vermont 211, which, I gotta be politically correct here, is a joke, because it can take up to days and weeks to get assistance for somebody when we actually have somebody that is in town. At that time, this morning, we get a call, like I said, for a male subject in a sleeping bag and a tarp behind Shaw's. You can't wait days for somebody like that. I was hoping Bruce might be here tonight, because I'll guarantee Bruce, because this was back years ago. And I know that the state used to help fund that position, I believe, through the town. They gave them so much money, and then the state decided that they would take over. But I honestly think that's something that the town should really consider having in place for situations that we get. You can't wait days.
No.
You can't wait weeks. You gotta be able to help that person today, or as soon as possible. The Red Cross is the Red Cross. They don't usually deal with just one person. We've tried calling them before. One person, something like that, they don't want to deal with. Vermont 211 can take forever. I just think that the town could, I know this should have been done a while back before the budget was brought back into place. But this is something I think you really should look at in the future, because we are getting more of an influx of transient population, homeless population, people in monetary situations. If Noah was here today, he could fill you in, because he called me as the health officer. We have these situations that go on quite a bit here that the people in this town really don't know about. And it'd be nice to be able to at least get this one guy a room for at least a day and get him on his feet and figure out where he's gonna go. Instead, he was sleeping in a sleeping bag under a tarp, 3 below zero, out behind Shaw's. I think this is something that the town really should look back into, and getting back as, because we have the health officer, we have all these positions. We used to have a town service officer. And I believe, like I said, I'm going over this again, I believe the state used to help fund that. So I was hoping Bruce was here tonight, because Bruce, he's been on.
That's probably why it's gone away, because the state probably don't want to fund it anymore.
So then the state moved to this Vermont 211, which again, like I said, can take considerable time in getting assistance for somebody that this guy didn't have time. But, when they went and checked on him, he was fine. However, the only reason we knew about it is because an employee called about it. Said this happens, it happens more so in the summer, but in the winter, if it happens, it's 3 below zero. It's something that the town, just the humanitarian part of things, should really look into. Even if it's only a small budget of a couple grand, which isn't gonna hurt the tax rate one bit. A couple grand that you have in something, have a town service officer be able to get a room or emergency food rations or something for an individual like that. Because we all know, everybody in this room knows, the homeless population in this state has exploded, and the need for emergency heat, stuff like that, can come up anytime. I understand you're gonna get Black River, good neighbors that can help, but in an emergency situation, again, I wish Noah was here, he could help go on to that one earlier. I just thought I'd bring that up. It's something that the board should look into for the future.
I don't recall it as long as I've been on the board, but.
What's that?
I said, I don't recall it as long as I've been on the board.
It was
so-
called the Ludlow, it was called the town service officer. We used to get the calls all the time, and then we'd reach out to the town service officer. I wish I could remember who it was, but we're talking 15 years ago.
Anyway,
I
more
vaguely
than that.
remember.
What's that?
I vaguely remember something
Yeah,
about
it was called the town service. So if you go into probably some of the town reports from
80s, in the 80s.
2005 maybe, you'll see it, but the state did away with their funding to make it go to 211, which, again, I gotta be nice, is not the quickest system out there.
Yeah.
I just think that's something that town really should look into. Even if, like I said, you just have the position and a couple $1,000s in a budget that if there does arise an emergency, the town can assist that individual or family in an emergency.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to say.
Will you find out what happened to that position, where it went, and why it's?
See if there's any state assistance from it.
It's been,
Been over 15.
yeah, so I bet if you look like at 2005-ish in the town reports, you might find it there, but that's a position we used to have. And that's what it was for, was an emergency like this morning where this individual, again, 3 below 0, sleeping in a sleeping bag under a tarp. That's unacceptable. And no way to help him. Fortunately, this gentleman he was fine, he was like, yeah, whatever, but you never know. I just
Okay.
wanted to bring that to the board's attention.
We'll look into it. Thank you, Dave. Any other comments from citizens? Moving on to
Hi, Paula Van Gilder, 141 O'Connor Hill. I thought I would introduce myself. Hi, I'm Paula Van Gilder, and I am the chair of Neighbors Together. We do a lot with this community, and I figured it was time I introduced myself. We have been a growing group since the flood. We took care of this community at the flood, and after that, we've continued to grow. We have not only second homeowners as well as Ludlow people that assist us as well. And more as we grow, I'm seeing the need, and ironically, what Dave just mentioned is actually something that is true. We help out people almost on a daily basis, whether it's school children, locals. I mean, there's a lot. We reach out from Mount Holly, Ludlow, Cavendish. Primarily, our goal is Ludlow. We do all of our own funding. And I just wanted to say hi and thank you. We had a major support with Brendan when we started this. We have great support from the Schmidt family. And now, hi, how you doing? So that's all I wanted to say. As we continue to grow, it's awesome. And also, our chief, Whalen, sorry,
Warfel.
Chief, Jesus,
Warfel.
my brain just went boom.
Warfel.
Warfel. Sorry, brain just went a little off there. He's actually collaborating with us. He little by little has, but now we've decided we are definitely merging because he sees the need, loves what we're doing as we're growing. We're in with schools, everything. We have a children's boutique. We are community. And we just wanted to say hi and introduce. I'm Paula, this is Bridget, and that's Chelsea. And there is a group of us, and obviously you know Nick. Nick is part of it, so yeah, we have a good group. So I have information for you if you ever want to just check us out. We're on Facebook, anything or good. Thanks. Thank you. Sure. I figured a good way to say hey.
Thank you. Thank you for what you guys do.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other comments from any other citizens? Moving on, department head reports. You guys have them? Any questions? Okay, moving on, possible approve request license permit for Blue Duck Deli.
I will add that we do have a letter from Chief Warfel concurring with Blue Duck Deli getting their license.
I make a motion that we approve the Blue Duck Deli.
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Guys opposed? Guys have it. Review and award riparian planting project bid for the former Timber Inn.
Should be in your packet. If you recall, we had to go back out and ask for RFPs for the riparian planting project at the location formerly known as the Timber Inn. We specified that we wanted the debris removal included. We also specified and clarified the completion date. I think you see in your packet, we do have 3 bids. Intervale is the lowest bid and is the most, I'd say, comprehensive in terms of their scope and what they would propose to do in comparison to our RFP. I would recommend that the board award this project to Intervale Center.
I make a motion that we award the project to Intervale Center for $60,525.00.
Second.
Okay. Any other, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Guys opposed? Guys have it. Review and sign town meeting warning.
In your packets, you have a draft warning for town meeting day. I will say the one that you have in your packet, we updated since we put together these packets. The only thing that is different, if you go to Article 7, recall in the last select board meeting where you all voted on the fiscal year 27 budget, you voted to remove the,
Dam spillway.
that's right, the spillway, thank you, piece. And so that is what I have in my hands, is the updated copy that needs to be signed tonight. So other than that, everything that you have in your packet is
So
ready to go.
just for clarification, what's the total amount to be raised by taxes for Article 7?
Looks like it's 97,500.
Motion to sign the warning.
I make a motion that we approve the warning as amended, I guess, from what we've got in our packet.
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Guys opposed? Guys have it.
I will have you sign this before you leave tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Municipal manager update.
Just a few things. Obviously preparing for town meeting day, and we have some pretty hard and fast due dates in terms of the packet being completed by January 19th, sending a final proof no later than January 23rd. And so we're kind of off and running in terms of getting ready for March. Second thing is working on the town and village merger.
Yep.
And then thirdly, conducting my mid-year performance appraisals. And just a few things I'm focusing on, asking department heads and directors to look at are documenting and formalizing standard operating procedures, daily operating procedures, weekly, monthly, that sort of thing. The second thing is emphasizing revenue generation for their particular departments, keying in on looking at outdated fees, look for new opportunities, but be mindful of increasing fees for our elderly and our youth in this community. And then thirdly, getting them to think about long-term and condition assessment reports, Eric, so that we can then utilize what they provide as a standard operating procedures and those condition assessment reports that will build into and develop a capital investment process. So those are the three things that I'm kind of keying in on. Little unusual to do a mid-year performance appraisal, but I figure it's perfect time for me to kind of get to know their programs a little bit more, and they can get to know me in terms of my management style as well. So those are the things that I'm working on. Thank you.
Okay. Other business? Anybody? Possible items for next meeting.
Do we have to set dates in the future for the merger?
We will, I
Okay.
will work those up with staff and we'll get those sent and warned and all that.
For those
stuff.
hearings?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So warrant orders, we don't have them up here, so we'll sign them. Possible executive session, personnel contracts, legal issues?
Yes.
Yes.
I make a motion that we go into executive session for personnel and contract and legal issues.
Okay. Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Guys opposed? Guys have it.